Good evening. Over 2 lakh people have been evacuated as the eastern coast of India waits for cyclone Hudhud. Welcome to the news tonight. I'm Zaka Jacob. First up, the top stories that we're tracking tonight. Odisha and Andhra Pradesh brace themselves for cyclone Hudhud. Disaster relief teams are on standby even as tens of thousands are moved to safer places. Nobel Peace Prize winners Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai both hope that the award is a wake-up call for India and Pakistan to strive harder for peace. INLD chief Om Prakash Chautala is back in the Tihar jail, but not before complaining about how the CBI is being unfair to him. He says he never violated any bail conditions. And it is Occupy Hong Kong for a second time over as thousands are back on the streets, even as China accuses the United States of stoking up the protests. And our top story tonight, thousands have been evacuated from the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha as the very severe cyclonic storm Hudhud is racing towards the east coast of India. The cyclone has reached speeds of 155 to 165 kilometers an hour. Experts are now saying it could go up to 195 kilometers an hour. Authorities in both the states say they are well prepared for any eventuality. Teams of both the National Disaster Relief Agency as well as Army and Navy personnel are on standby.
Wind speeds reaching up to 195 kilometers per hour. Army and Navy personnel on standby. Over 5 lakh people evacuated from coastal regions. As Cyclone Hudhud closes in on Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, the governments in both states are prepared for the eventualities. The very severe cyclone is expected to make landfall near Visakhapatnam by Sunday afternoon.
Under the influence of very severe cyclone Hudhud, the coastal districts of both states, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, have started reporting light to moderate rainfall and wind speed of about 40 to 50 km per hour. Crossing the coast, the wind speed is likely to be 160 to 170 km per hour, gusting up to 185 km per hour.
The Andhra Pradesh government has made arrangements to evacuate over 5 lakh people, while the government in Odisha is ready with a plan for over 3 lakh evacuations. Personnel of the Army and Navy are on standby. The eastern fleet of ships are ready to encounter the effects of the cyclone. INS Airawat, INS Shakti, INS Shivalik and INS Ranjit have been prepared for any eventualities.
The Indian Navy is closely monitoring the cyclone, and a regular update is being provided to all the ships and all the areas around Vizag. We are expecting that the cyclone will be here tomorrow sometime during the day, and the ships are fully prepared. The Navy has got a full contingency plan in place which is being executed and monitored at the highest level at the command headquarters.
In Odisha, rainfall has been reported from some areas, mostly in the southern region. The district authorities have been asked to stock adequate quantities of dry food. The government has deployed 25 units, 15 of NDRF and 10 of ODRF, each comprising 40 personnel besides fire servicemen.
साइक्लोन आने से वजह से हमारा सारा धंधा घट गया।
हाँ, डर तो जरूर रहेगा भाई, मकान टूट जाएगा, पेड़ पड़ जाएगा मकान के ऊपर, छत उड़ जाएगा, तो डर जरूर है.
Odisha people are taking major steps not to get affected that much, and even our government also taking good steps.
The movement of about 40 trains between Bhubaneswar and Visakhapatnam has been affected, while steps have been taken for early restoration of train services and railway tracks. A round-the-clock disaster management cell has been set up at the headquarters in Bhubaneswar and at divisional headquarters at Visakhapatnam.
We have taken a lot of precautionary measures. These precautionary measures, these include advance cancellation of trains on the 12th of October. By 6 a.m., by 6 hours in the morning, we expect the entire route between Visakhapatnam and Bhubaneswar to be sanitized, to be totally clear of all trains carrying passengers.
We have taken adequate precautions. We have stored adequate quantity of diesel. Additional DG set also we have placed. additional manpower we have deployed, and we have made teams like those who will be looking after different functions of the airport, and round the clock situation will be monitored.
The Met Department warns of extensive damage to Kacha houses, uprooting of big trees and partial disruption of power and communication lines. The government has also issued these helpline numbers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right. Now, there used to be a time when our preparedness for a natural disaster like a cyclone used to be appalling, most notably back in the 90s. There was a cyclone in 1999 in Odisha which killed more than 10,000 people. But things have changed, and how? Let's try and find out by speaking to Professor K.J. Anandakumar. He's Associate Professor at the National Institute for Disaster Management. Thank you very much for joining us here on the news tonight. Do you think the turning point was last year's cyclone Phelan, in which the Odisha government evacuated lakhs of people, an effort that was commended here in India as well as abroad? Walk us through what's changed over the years in our preparedness for an event like this, a cyclone.
The turning point, I would like to say that it is the super cyclone of Odisha in 1999 was a turning point, because at that time people were really, they suffered because of the forecast was not in time, and then forecast was not taken seriously. Preparedness was not that much as in the case of Phelan, which had in 2013 we had. In the case of Phelan, the main from 2009 onwards, I will say that things have started changing. Because the forecast has come in space and time. For example, wherever the IMD told that it will have a landfall, from 2009, if you see Ayla, Thane, after that, and slowly, every cyclone, they have to predict exactly the place and the time was so accurate that people started believing on our predictions.
So you believe that weather prediction patterns, the weather prediction techniques, the science itself has gotten better over the years. But just walk us through, when you have to evacuate, as per last count, 2 lakh people have been evacuated already in Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. When you have to evacuate this staggering number of people, walk us through how many government departments, how many agencies are involved in this. I mean, what all do you have to account for? Blankets, tents, bedding material, if you will, obviously food, which is the most important. What are the various aspects that government agencies have to account for in preparing for something like this?
See, what happens is when these kind of things occur, immediately the chief minister of each state, they take a meeting and call all the agencies which are involved in these kind of things, like starting from rural development agencies, starting revenue department, everybody is roped in, so that first they arrange for shelters, and then they arrange for the food and water, which are very immediately required, and then they go for this dry fruits, dry foods like that, so that can be used for while they go back. But we don't make any that elaborate kind of things like arranging for medicines and all. They will make arrangement for some urgency or emergency medicines, and then people requiring those kind of things like pregnant women and old ladies, they may be requiring something. So those kind of things are already ready. And now people are trained, not only the officials, the community also trained, and the Odisha and the Andhra Pradesh coastal states, they started taking mock drills every year during this time. Just a few days back, there was a mock drill in Odisha. Similarly, in Andhra Pradesh also they take mock drills, and they are well prepared compared to the previous ones.
I mean, not wanting to put this as a dissenting note or a sour note. I mean, just recently we had the floods in Srinagar. While our cyclone prediction and our cyclone evacuation efforts have come a long way since the 90s, how does one explain what happened in Srinagar? I mean, obviously, it could have been better predicted. So many tens of thousands of people got affected in an urban center like Srinagar. Walk us through what went wrong and what lessons we can learn from that episode.
See, in the last, when that Jammu Kashmir floods were there, we were in the same studio discussing with the same kind of issues. Actually, we have to learn from how we are preparing for cyclone. First thing is that warning is very important thing. As you were telling that if it was, now we evacuated 2 lakhs, they are expecting to evacuate more people. But if you are not knowing exactly where it will strike, then you might have to evacuate more people, which was impossible. For example, if you have to evacuate around 100-200 kilometers of coast, it may become very difficult. Now you know that where it's going to clearly come, so that 5 days early or at least 2 days in early, you come to know that this is going to come. So this kind of similar forecast has to be developed for other disasters like flood. And especially in the what we had in the Jammu Kashmir, it was not a real flood. It was a breach of some embankment, and we should have some system to forecast these kind of breaches also, or what kind of floods we are going to have, flash flood also. We should try to develop these kind of things as we have done in mastered, rather in the kind of
which is all the more reason why somebody should have predicted, and there should have been enough lead time for what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. But thanks very much for joining us, Professor K.J. Anandakumar from the National Institute of Disaster Management. Today, the award winners, both Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai, said that the award is a reminder of the need for peace between both their countries. But the question is, are our politicians on both sides of the border listening?
मैंने कल मलाला से बात किया, वो मेरी बेटी की तरह हैं, वो बहुत बहादुर और प्यारी बच्ची हैं। मैंने उनसे कल कहा कि हम लोगों का जो अपना काम है बाल मजदूरी के खिलाफ और लड़कियों की अशिक्षा के खिलाफ, ये जो जद्दोजहद है, ये जो आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी आवाज़ है, ये हम बुलंद करते रहेंगे। लेकिन इसके अलावा चूंकि हम दोनों को शांति के लिए चुना गया है, तो भारत और पाकिस्तान में प्राथमिक तौर पर और पूरी दुनिया में शांति की स्थापना के लिए भी हमें मिलकर काम करना चाहिए। उन्होंने मेरी बात की बहुत तारीफ की, उनको ये पसंद आई बात।
We also decided that as he is from India and I am from Pakistan, we will try to build strong relationships between India and Pakistan. And nowadays, you know that there is tension on the border, and the situation is getting, it's not like as we are expecting. We want Pakistan and India to have good relationships, and the tension that is going on is really disappointing, and I'm really sad because I want both the countries to have dialogue, to have talks about peace, and to think about progress, to think about development, rather than fighting with each other.
Sound advice from the two people the whole world is talking about. Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai, joint winners of the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize. A reminder to both countries about the importance of peace at a time when bullets are flying across the border. Call it the Nobel effect, the Peace Prize has changed the narrative of the last few days. In India, most newspapers headline the story, some even calling it an Indo-Pak joint production. Politicians who had for days now been calling for revenge against Pakistan for violations on the border are now smoking the peace pipe.
हमारे कैलाश सत्यार्थी जी हों चाहे मलाला यूसुफजई जी हों, उन दोनों ने जो है वो बचपन के सुरक्षा के लिए, बचपन के सम्मान के लिए, बचपन की शिक्षा के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी क्रांति की, और निश्चित तौर से हम नतमस्तक होकर के उनके इस जज्बे को, उनके इस जुनून को सलाम करते हैं।
एक ये बड़ा मैसेज है कि दोनों देश शांति के साथ रहें और पूरी दुनिया को शांति की तरफ लेके जाएं। पाकिस्तान के लिए इसके अंदर एक बड़ा मैसेज है।
And the congratulations and tributes continue to pour in. Leading the list is the world's most powerful man. The US President, himself a Peace Prize winner in 2009, had this to say. On behalf of Michelle, myself and all Americans, I want to congratulate Malala Yousafzai and Kailash Satyarthi on winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Today's announcement is a victory for all who strive to uphold the dignity of every human being. The prize, worth over $1 million, will be presented in Oslo on December 10th, on the death anniversary of Alfred Nobel, the man who founded the awards. Malala wants both the Indian and Pakistani Prime Ministers to attend the award ceremony. Will Narendra Modi and Nawaz Sharif oblige? Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, the Nobel effect hasn't lasted for too long, ending an uneasy calm. Pakistan once again violating the ceasefire along the border again on Saturday. Pakistani troops opening heavy fire on Indian posts in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. That, of course, immediately drew retaliation from the Indian Army. The Pakistan Army is said to be using automatic weapons to target Indian positions. The firing started at little past noon today. It was still going on till late evening. No loss of life has been reported on either side in today's firing. So far, the count, 17 civilians killed on both sides of the border, 8 here in India, 9 in Pakistan since the violation started on the 1st of October. Over 60 have been injured. All right, we're going to take a break here in the program. When we return, all the election-related buzz and verdict 2014, including O.P. Chautala going back to jail after the Delhi High Court cancelled his bail. We'll get you details of that story when we return. Welcome back to the news tonight. All the heat and dust from the campaign trail in the run-up to the elections in Maharashtra and Haryana in Verdict 2014. And all the big guns were out campaigning in Haryana today. This is the last weekend before the polls. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Congress President Sonia Gandhi tore into each other while asking the people of Haryana to vote for their respective parties.
It is the last weekend before elections in Maharashtra and Haryana. As has been the case this campaign season, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is leading his party's charge in Haryana. He campaigned in Sirsa, Jind and Gurgaon. Asking people to discard dynastic politics, the Prime Minister asked the people to give the BJP an absolute majority.
पिछले 25 साल की हरियाणा की राजनीति देखिए, एक 5 परिवार है, सारा कारोबार ये 5 परिवारों ने चलाया, 5 परिवारों के लिए चला, 5 परिवार में पूरा हरियाणा आ गया, 5 परिवार का भला हो गया, तो हरियाणा का भला हो या न हो, उनको कोई परवाह नहीं।
Congress President Sonia Gandhi was scathing in her criticism of the Modi government, accusing it of going to any length to grab power.
चुनाव सामने है, तो फिर हमारी विरोधी पार्टियां सत्ता पर कब्जा करने के लिए अपने अपने घरों से यहां तक कि जेलों से भी बाहर निकल पड़ी।
Sonia was addressing a rally in Tosham in Haryana ahead of 15th October Assembly election. She also took a dig at INLD leader Om Prakash Chautala, who is serving a 10-year imprisonment in a corruption case but was out campaigning.
इन्होंने चांद सितारे तोड़कर लाने जैसे वादे किए थे, आज वे हरियाणा की कुर्सी पर कब्जा करना चाहते हैं। जेल से सरकार चलाने वालों को भी कुर्सी चाहिए। इसके विपरीत INLD सरकार के जमाने में कानून व्यवस्था का नाम ही नहीं था। आपको जरूर याद होगा, हर वक्त डर का माहौल रहता था, कारोबार करना मुश्किल था, किसानों की जिंदगी मुश्किलों से बढ़ी थी और पानी, बिजली, सड़क जैसी कठिनाइयों को आपने खुद झेला।
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi was also in Sirsa and he reiterated how the Modi government has raised the prices of cancer treating drugs.
कैंसर की दवाई, डायबिटीज की दवाई, ब्लड प्रेशर की दवाई सब महंगी हो गई। नुकसान किसको होता है? नुकसान प्रधानमंत्री को नहीं होता है, नुकसान हमारी गरीब जनता को होता है। हम यहां मुफ्त में दवाई दे रहे हैं, अस्पताल में ऑपरेशन करा रहे हैं और उस तरफ हमारे प्रधानमंत्री अमेरिका की कंपनियों को मदद कर रहे हैं। जो पहले 8,000 रुपए में आती थी, अब लाख रुपए में कैंसर की दवाई आती।
Meanwhile, Chautala is back at the Tihar jail after the Delhi High Court cancelled his bail because he used his parole time to campaign. With a multi-cornered contest, Haryana could be well headed for a hung assembly. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
It was a big day today for INLD chief Om Prakash Chautala. He's now gone back to the Tihar jail. Not before kicking and screaming about the CBI. The Delhi High Court had ordered the former Haryana Chief Minister to return to jail after the CBI said he flouted his bail conditions. These are the latest pictures that have come. Mr. Chautala driving back to the Tihar jail. He had been granted bail on medical grounds, but he was out on the campaign trail, and that is what's forced him to go back to jail.
Om Prakash Chautala may have decided to go back to jail on Saturday, but he did not do so without speaking his mind. At a press conference before going back to jail, Chautala said the conditions for his bail did not restrict him from addressing rallies.
कोर्ट ये आदेश ना देती तो निश्चित रूप से मैं रैलियों का एड्रेस करता, मैंने किया भी तो पहले, मेरे पे कोई बंदिश नहीं थी। कोर्ट के फैसले में कहीं मेरे पे ये पाबंदी नहीं थी कि मैं किसी रैली को एड्रेस ना करूं।
Chautala also launched a personal attack on Narendra Modi, saying the Prime Minister was following in the Congress's footsteps and misusing the CBI.
न सिर्फ कांग्रेस पार्टी ने सीबीआई का दुरुपयोग किया, बल्कि अब तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी भी उन्हीं के नक्शे कदम पर चल करके उसका दुरुपयोग कर रही है। क्योंकि इस देश के प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी 4 तारीख को करनाल में आए थे और आपको सुन के ताज्जुब होगा कि 6,000 कुर्सियां लगी थी, वो भी खाली पड़ी थी। इससे बौखलाहट में आकर के उन्होंने उल जुलूल बातें भी करनी शुरू कर दी और सीबीआई का दुरुपयोग करके उस कोर्ट के सामने फिर एक दरख्वास्त दे दी जिस कोर्ट ने 17 तारीख तक मुझे सरेंडर होने की अनुमति दी थी।
Going to jail also did not deter him from claiming that his party will win this time. In fact, he even listed out the assembly segments that his party would conquer. Anu Diwan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Congress President Sonia Gandhi was also in Maharashtra today. She addressed a rally in Brahmapuri in Chandrapur district. She accused the Modi government of selling out the common man's interests to big corporates. She accused the BJP of doing away with welfare schemes launched by the previous UPA government like the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. She also slammed the Prime Minister for failing to deliver promises within the 100 days that he had promised.
जब हमारी यूपीए सरकार थी तब हमारी योजनाओं की ये लोग आलोचना करते थे, मजाक उड़ाते थे, लेकिन अब ये न केवल हमारी इन्हीं योजनाओं का नाम बदलकर चला रहे हैं बल्कि हमारी उपलब्धियों का सेहरा अपने सिर पर बांध रहे हैं।
All right, more election-related news coming up in Puri. The election squad has seized unaccounted cash worth 2.5 crore rupees in Loni Kalbhor in Pune. The police say this is the largest amount of unaccounted money seized this election season. The driver of the vehicle told officers that the money belonged to the Pune District Central Cooperative Bank and that he was transporting it to the Bhavani Nagar branch in Indapur Taluk. Income tax officials are investigating this case. The Election Commission has expressed displeasure at Union Minister Nitin Gadkari's reported remarks asking voters to accept bribes during the Maharashtra Assembly polls. The Commission said they expected Gadkari to be more cautious during his public speeches. The Commission's remark follows Gadkari's reply to its show cause notice, where he said that his speech was mere humour and sarcasm, which people failed to understand. A study of affidavits shows that the Shiv Sena and the BJP top the list when it comes to fielding criminal candidates for the upcoming polls in Maharashtra. The study reveals that out of the 2,336 candidates, as many as 798 face criminal charges. Of these, 169 are from the Shiv Sena, 278 from the BJP, and that means that they have the highest percentage of criminal candidates who've been fielded for this set of elections in Maharashtra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana in New Delhi, promising to bring a demand-driven model for village development. The Prime Minister said he was deeply inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's ideology of having Adarsh Grams or ideal villages. He further added that this is a people-driven scheme and requires their participation under the guidance of a Member of Parliament.
In line with the Clean India campaign, which was launched on Gandhi Jayanti this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated an ambitious village development project on Saturday on the birth centenary of social activist Jai Prakash Narayan. Called the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana, the project demands each Member of Parliament to take responsibility of developing physical and institutional infrastructure in at least 3 villages by 2019.
करीब करीब हम 800 सांसद हैं। अगर 19 के पहले हम 3-3 गांव करते तो करीब 2500 गांव तक हम पहुंच पाते हैं। इसी योजना के प्रकाश में अगर राज्य भी विधायकों के लिए भी कोई स्कीम बनाती है और विधायक के नेतृत्व में आदर्श ग्राम, तो 6-7 हजार गांव और जुड़ सकते हैं।
The scheme allows every MP to choose any village in his constituency, provided it is not their own or that of their in-laws. The Prime Minister himself will be choosing a village in Varanasi, which is his parliamentary constituency.
क्या गांव के लोग अपने गांव के प्रति गर्व करें, ऐसा माहौल बनाते हैं क्या? जब तक हम ये पैदा नहीं करेंगे बदलाव नहीं आएगा। सप्लाई ड्रिवन नहीं, डिमांड ड्रिवन हम विकास को ले जा सकते हैं। सरकार के द्वारा नहीं, समाज के द्वारा विकास का रास्ता चुन सकते हैं क्या? सरकारी सहायताओं के साथ साथ जन भागीदारी के महात्म्य को बढ़ा सकते हैं क्या?
The rural development project, which was announced by the Prime Minister in his Independence Day speech, received wide accolades from the BJP, even as the Congress accused Modi of just renaming UPA schemes.
मनमोहन सिंह सरकार ने प्रधानमंत्री आदर्श ग्राम योजना शुरू की थी, उसी लाइन्स पे इसको आगे बढ़ा के सांसद ग्राम योजना के रूप में लागू किया जा रहा है। अब इसमें प्रधानमंत्री ने जो कहा कि सांसदों का इन्वॉल्वमेंट होना चाहिए, सरकारी विभागों का नहीं। मेरा अपना मानना है कि नहीं, सरकारी विभागों का भी कोऑर्डिनेशन सांसद के जरिए होना चाहिए, तभी योजना सफल हो पाएगी। मोदी जी की सरकार का जो संकल्प है और जो संदेश है कि गांव, गरीब, किसान, झुग्गी झोपड़ी के इंसान तक विकास की रोशनी पहुंचे, आखिरी पायदान पर खड़े हुए व्यक्ति तक विकास की रोशनी पहुंचे, वो आदर्श ग्राम योजना उसमें एक मजबूत कड़ी साबित होगी।
As per the scheme, while Lok Sabha MPs will choose a village in their own constituency, MPs from Rajya Sabha can select any village of the state that he or she represents. At the same time, a nominated member can choose any village in the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, from model villages to the global village, international stories now. In pro-democracy, protesters are back on the streets of Hong Kong a day after the government there called off talks at the very last minute. Meanwhile, today, China criticized the United States, saying that foreign governments have no right to interfere in Hong Kong's affairs. Now, this follows a congressional report which expressed concerns about Hong Kong in a deliberate attack on China.
Occupy Hong Kong Act 2. Thousands of protesters pitched tents in central Hong Kong for the long haul, second time over. This after the government called off talks with the student leaders. Encouraging more citizens to join, protesters vowed to continue their occupation.
It seems that they don't want to give us to conversation with us, but I think these amount of people show that we really want to solve the problem with the government.
I think we stand very little chance, but I think we have to struggle. Right, we have to keep the number up and keep it for quite a period of time.
And it's not just on main Hong Kong island. Across the waters in Mongkok, the other side of protests was on display. Tens of thousands asking the government to clear streets with force if need be.
If the government fails to respond to our request about to clear the effective areas, we will have no choice but resort to besieging action to exercise our rights as citizens to gain back what we deserve to have.
Meanwhile, in the main island, the finger-pointing has begun. China denounced the US for interfering in Hong Kong. This comes after the US Congressional Executive Commission in its annual report stated that the United States should step up support for democracy in Hong Kong and push for universal suffrage. China's foreign ministry hit back saying,
也是我们多次强调的，战争是非法行动。中央政府
Pro-democracy protests has ebbed over the past week as the government and student leaders agreed to hold talks. However, the government called off the dialogue on Thursday. Now these students are hoping that they can force the government to come back to the dialogue table. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the protesters are asking for every inch of Hong Kong to be occupied in what is now being dubbed as Occupy Hong Kong Redux. We'll track that story here on News Tonight. That's a wrap for this Saturday edition of the program. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team, thanks for your time. We'll catch you again tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye.